Hey, it's Pete Casaboon, the Angel Encourager. So I am going to start this new series of where we directly talk about certain subjects and how the angels can help us. I haven't ever done that before. I've been focusing on the individual angels themselves and what they kind of work on. But let's talk about some actual issues for us and how the angels can help us. So we're going to talk today about manifestation. It's something that we're all thinking of. There's always something that each of us want to bring in. And we want to know specifically, like, how do the angels work with us? Because really, to me, the angels are boring unless we can find a way that they can be actually impactful in our everyday lives. And I'm talking in every moment of our lives. I mean, I'm constantly bugging them. I'm constantly talking to them and working on them with my mindset, and if there's something in particular I am focused on or intending on, I involve them in it. Probably not even as much as I should. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, gosh, I really don't really call them in as often as I really should. So it's something that we can do, every day, every minute, every second, or not ever. It's really up to you. That's the thing about us in this life, is that we have the free will to either access the powers that surround us or not. So we're going to talk today about manifestation specifically. And any angel can help in any situation in life, but there are certain angels that are they play a little bit better into some things than others. And so the one we're going to work with on manifestation is Nathaniel. Now, Nathaniel, he is really a go-getter. And so what I mean by that is that if you say that you want something, gosh darn it, he's going to go for it. But the thing of it is, a lot of times the reason you don't have something is because you're grasping onto its opposite. You're grasping onto something smaller. And it's like climbing a ladder, where you have to let go of one rung before you can put your hand on the other rung. So what happens with Nathaniel a lot of times in the area of manifestation is that we'll see that thing that's really holding us back, and it's something perhaps we're very used to. May not be something we like, but it's something we're very used to. We'll see it go away and we get scared, because the reason we get scared is we have this egoic structure around whatever that is that we're attached to, because that's the known. It may not even be something we like, but it's the known. We know how to deal with that. We know how to act with that. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be a car, it could be a house, it could be it could be really anything, really, but it could be the one thing that's really holding us back from moving into that next thing that we say that we want. And when we speak something, when we say that we want something, the angels take that as law, because they see us as godlike in our own life. They see us as the rulers and the creators of our own experience. So, anything is possible in the angelic world, and nothing has more value than something else. I mean, a diamond has the same value in the angelic world as a piece of stone or a piece of sand or a leaf off of a tree. I mean, it's exactly the same in value in the angelic world. So they don't see anything wrong with us going from one thing to the next. Whereas for us, it might be something that just like terrifies us to lose this one thing to go on the other. That's why a lot of times it can be a little bit easier when we work with some of the angels like Metatron or Sandalphon that were once in human form, because they understand the human experience, but they also know the potentiality of where we're going. But anyway, so we're going to work today with Nathaniel as far as how to move into a manifestation. So the most important thing about manifestation is to be very clear about, well, I don't want to say it's the most important thing, actually. So one of the most important things is to be very clear on what we're intending, right? To be very, very, very clear, because we get kind of wishy-washy. So think of it more as of like a game, because I think the reason that we get wishy-washy about it is for two reasons. Number one, we don't think that we are able to do it. We think it's far-fetched. We think it's fantasy or dream, and then it might harm us to think too far out of the box. And we also are afraid of the people and the things and the situations that we know we're going to give up if we move into this other place. For instance, maybe you want a new career, and you start thinking about all the coworkers, and maybe clients or whatever that you work with now that that you'll no longer have that association with. Or perhaps you want to move to a new city and you think of those people, those friends that you'll never see again, or whatever it might be. Because the crazy thing about life is that in every new thing there's also a death. There's a death to something and there's a newness to something. That's why so often when we get something new, even if something exciting, we might go through a little bit of a mourning stage, even if we are leaving a situation that we want to leave, because there is a death to that situation. There's a death to that old self that was the normalcy for. Because you only are going to move into a new thing and keep it if that becomes your new normal. So there is a death to that old egoic person, and there's a death to that old situation. There's a death to all of that. There's a letting go. So that's something that you really need to be prepared about. And so that's why there is this space of grace. There's a space of grace where you don't instantly get things that you ask for, because there's a preparation to it. There's a getting ready to do that. I mean, think about if you wanted to be a doctor, like a surgeon or something of that nature. You're not going to go straight from high school to actually doing surgery. You're going to go through a lot of preparation, along that path. But you still think of yourself in that form. You still think of yourself in that term. Or think about a woman that gets pregnant, and she plans a baby and she gets pregnant with the baby, and now she knows she's 2 months along. She's got about 7 months before the baby's there. She's a mother, but she doesn't have the baby actually in her hands, but she's preparing. She gets the room ready, she gets all the materials that she needs to get ready. She plans out her health care, and she plans out the daycare for the child. Will she be working or not working or whatever? So she's doing all of these things ahead of time, preparing herself, preparing her life, so that her new priority can take over. And there's probably a death to her old life, where she had, all day long probably to really concentrate on her own personal needs, or maybe the needs of her career or friends or family or whatever. And now she has this new responsibility. So that's how you want to realize that there is, a death and a new life. So the first thing is to get very clear about what it is that you want, and like I say, make it more of a game. Don't make it so dang hard on yourself, where you're thinking about the things that you're going to lose, or you're thinking about maybe I'm not worthy of it, or maybe that's too big or whatever, or maybe I don't really even want that thing, because it is kind of a sandbox that you're playing in. If you know anything about computer programming, they often use what's called a sandbox. And what that means is it's a space in the computer where they can kind of play with things, and it doesn't mess up any of the real data. It kind of uses it's a space where it's safe. It's safe to do things. And think about that when you were a kid and you played in the sandbox. It was a safe space. You could build buildings and crash them down, and it didn't actually have any, you weren't actually killing anybody or destroying any property when you did it. It was a safe space for you to visualize and map out and play. So think of that with your dreams and your manifestations as well, because one of the other really key things to it is to not get attached to whatever it is, to have this expectation of it and to actually embody it, but also to be okay with it becoming. Become okay with that. If the woman that found out she's 2 months pregnant, if she's not okay with waiting 7 months for that baby, she's going to have a really hard 7 months. But she can go ahead and experience that she can enjoy that 7-month time period of being a mother with it coming. Or if you wanted to be a doctor, you could enjoy that time where you're learning all these new things and deciding how you actually would like for that career to go, and how you would would you want to work as Doctors Without Borders, or would you want to be in a large hospital, or in a rural area, or whatever it might be. That's that time frame for you to really kind of hone in on the details, to really get really fine-tuned with that. And I'm not saying that you can't get things instantly, because To the universe, absolutely you can, but for most of us, it helps us to have that space of grace where we can prepare ourselves and move in. It goes back to the old statistics where 8 out of 10 lottery winners actually end up in worse financial shape 3 to 5 years after winning a major lottery, and it's because they don't embody that new space of wealth. They're used to that old space of being poor, and that's just their natural rhythm. So they go back to that. They find ways to lose it. I mean, you see like people that go into sports and make millions, multi-millions of dollars every year and have a good long career of 10 or 20 years, and then at the end of it, they're actually broke. They're actually bankrupt. And you're like, how can you make that much money and be bankrupt? How is that possible? It's because you don't embody that mindset of being that person who knows what to do with money, knows how to have money, knows how to embody that. You spend your entire life finding ways to get rid of it and to align yourself with people that are going to help you to lose it. Well, instead you want to be that person that attracts the people that are going to help you to keep it, and find the modalities and the different things that you can do that help you to actually become that person of wealth, or whatever it is. Maybe it's not wealth you want, maybe it's health, or whatever it happens to be. So number one, it's about being very clear right now, today, on what it is that you want, knowing that could change. Let that be a little flexible, and to start that expectation of it. And what that means is to see yourself as that person, but not to get too attached to it. And what I mean by that is that if you get super attached to whatever it is that your dream is, then you can get into this space of where you start feeling not worthy because it's not here. You start getting this space of where I am that person for who it's becoming. I am not that person for who it has become. Because if you were that person for whom it's becoming, then you're going to constantly be in that space of the becoming, and not of the space of the become. You're going to be constantly on that path towards it without actually enjoying and relishing in it, having it. And the final thing I want to say, and this is something that Abraham Hicks really brings home, and it's so very true. The only reason that we want anything is because we want the feeling that we believe it will give us. We want that feeling space that we think we'll have, whether it's security or happiness or joy or fun or freedom or whatever it might be. That is really what we're after attaining. And this can be so proven because if you look back through time, if you think about how we live today and what we think of as normal, the cell phone I'm talking on, the house with electricity and running water that I have, the car that I drive, things of that nature, those are very recent manifestations in the modern world. If you had asked somebody 100 years ago to come up with a dream list, their dream list wouldn't include any of those things. So what I'm saying is it's a very fluid space of, but they could still have attained those feelings of joy. They could still have attained those feelings of safety, those feelings of fun, those feelings of freedom, but it would be attached to different things than we attach it to, right? So it's in 100 years from now, people are going to attach the ideas of freedom and fun and safety and happiness and all that to something completely different than what we attach it to today. So it's about the feeling space. It's about the being that we're really wanting to attain. And the amazing thing about that is that we can attain that right now. And as we attain that right now, we become that person who it is natural for, and we create a vacuum space which then the universe then fills in. You can think of it as like when you're at the beach and you dig a hole in the sand and that hole fills up with ocean water. What you're doing is you're creating a space for it to be filled in. It's often been described as the angelic morphic field, and what that means is that we put these ideas or goals or dreams or aspirations or whatever out there through our words, thoughts, feelings, and things of that nature. And the angels go out there and they create the mold for it. They create the mold for that space. And then it's up to us to move into that space, and then the universe just fills it in naturally, because the universe doesn't like a void, So it's really interesting. There's a lot of debate in this in the quantum physics field, but there's a lot of ideas in the quantum physics field that the empty space actually holds more energy than the filled space. So if you think about places that have material objects, that's actually the lower energy field than the field that's actually holding that material object in place. I mean, I won't get into, we'll get into that in another video, because I get really out there, because that fascinates me. But anyway, we're sticking with, keep me on track. We're sticking with Nathaniel and manifestations. So let's do a little, let's do a meditation with Nathaniel, asking him to bring it in, and I'm going to bring in some nice pictures and videos and stuff here, so you're not seeing me. You'll hear me, but you're not going to see me, because I don't think you'd want to sit there and just watch me close my eyes and things like that. That'd be boring. So anyway, let's make sure your feet are firmly planted on the ground. Let's take a deep breath. And the idea behind breath work is really interesting, is that if you can make your breathing out slower than you're breathing in, it naturally calms your parasympathetic nervous system. And it's interesting, as I'm doing this, sunlight is actually dappling through the leaves of the tree above me that has not done this entire time since I've been sitting here. Now, Archangel Nathaniel is said to also carry the violet flame. So I want you to just imagine Archangel Nathaniel coming forward to us, and he's surrounding us. Right now I'm seeing this kind of lavender light kind of surrounding us right now. And he's asking us to be very sure about what it is that we want, and he's asking us to be prepared as well for what we will be letting go of, and being okay to become the new person that we're asking to be. And he'll be there with us the whole way. We're never going to be alone. But we just have to keep forefront in our mind the focus and intention on what it is that we are asking to bring forth, and to remember that as things change, as things shift, as things go away, that means that things are coming toward us. Think of the ocean as the tide goes out. That just means that the water is building up for a larger wave of our good to come into us. So we can actually train ourselves to be expectant or excited as we see the waters recede, as we see things kind of flow away. We can get very clear about what it is that we want to bring in. It's in our times really of loss, and in our times of upheaval, and in our times of most obstacles coming in our way, that we really have the most opportunity for new and for more, because it forces us, it makes us start to look at things in a different way. When something is taken away from us, it forces us to find the new thing, and we can train ourselves to start looking for new things that for us are of higher value or higher use or higher good than what it is we have gone away from. Think of your last day in high school. It was very bittersweet. You had been going after this goal of graduating and getting away from there, but then on the last day you realized that was the last day you were going to be there, last day you worked with those people, last day you saw those people, and you never were going to again. So think of that space of letting go, but also moving into the new at the same time. And that is where you are right now. So I want you to live in that space, live in that expectation, live in that feeling space. What is it about what you're asking for? How is that going to make you feel? And say that out loud to yourself right now. Whether it's freedom, or happiness, or joy, or excitement, or fun, or just good breath, or whatever it might be, love. Tell yourself right now what feeling it is you're looking to achieve. And ask that feeling to open itself to you and present itself to you. And ask it to become your permanent, normal frequency that you're in. Something that you just often feel. And ask itself to present itself to you through your day to remind you that it's always there to be felt, and allow yourself to feel it and realize that as you feel it more, it becomes your normal rhythm, and then everything is colored with whatever that feeling is that you're now allowing yourself to have. Think of it as an early present for yourself that you're giving right now, is allowing yourself to feel that way, to be that person, for that to be your normalcy, for that to be who you are, for that to be in your being. And then your whole life becomes about that, goes to that. People and situations, jobs, homes, whatever that don't align with that begin to recede away. And ones that do begin to come your way. Become that expectant person, looking for and seeing and cataloging those things that match that feeling. And start to journal for yourself the things that align with who it is that you're seeing yourself as being, and the feeling that you're expressing as who you are. Take a few deep breaths. All right, we're going to come back. So what I want you to do for yourself is I want you to take out a piece of paper, perhaps it might even be a sticky note pad, and write that word, whatever that was, that feeling that you're wanting to attain. Write that word down and stick it like on your bathroom mirror. Stick it perhaps, on your dashboard, perhaps at your desk at work, wherever. Put that word somewhere to remind yourself that you are in that vibration. That's who you are. Now, if this was new or foreign to you, or if you want even more help, I want you to look down below. I've got some resources for you, and probably one of my best resources, one I'm really excited about, one that I do personally, is a journal that I've put together with, gosh, I don't even know how many angels are in there. Probably somewhere like 40 or 50 angels or more. But it's basically a 30-day writing journal with 4 different sections for each day that prompt you and have you write down different things. There's an instruction up front. But the thing I think is really the coolest is that I asked a different angel on every section for every day to give like a little quote, to give like an inspiring thought or idea that goes along, with that section. So every single quote is different. So there's 120 different quotes from different angels. So that was really the fun part, was to really, connect with them and have them let me know what they would want you to know as you're being prompted for that particular section for that particular day. So if you look down below, you'll see some more different information that I have, and also a link to that as well. And I have a lot of different things, such as I have a method that I use called Boost Your Brilliance, a 4-step method for moving into your best, and I'll put a link to that as well. So just lots of different material. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know how I can be of best assistance. I'm really going to be working on actual videos that really, instead of focusing on the angel themselves, I'm going to start focusing on what it is we want the angels to do for us, because that's really what they're here for anyway. So I've been approaching it probably in a different way before, just because I was excited to meet them. Thought maybe you guys were, but I think it's more impactful for us to really look at how they can help us and to move into that. So hope it's been helpful. Like, subscribe, comment. Love, peace, and release.